Yo, you guys, this is Blacklist of the Abyss, and you're watching my review for World Trigger Chapter. Wow. I'm so used to saying chapter. World Trigger Episode 5. Okay. Um, this review is late, and so will pretty much every other review I do for this week because I had a group assignment due last night at midnight, and I have another group assignment due tomorrow morning, and then the next day I have an exam, and then the day after that I have another exam. Okay, so I'm like really busy this week, so do not be surprised if the World Trigger manga review, Shokugeki no Soma review, Bleach review, Parasite review, don't be surprised if all those are late this week, because they probably will be. Um, so yeah, well, with that being said, I'll just get into the episode. Um, the Eelgar, alright? It has the ability to, when it senses that it's going to be defeated soon, it has the ability to just sense where the most densely populated area is, or the closest most densely populated area, and then just crash into it and self-destruct, and then take out as many people as possible. All right, which is not good. And you got to actually give props to Ai Kitora for actually figuring that out on her own. All right, well, she didn't figure out the go to the most densely populated area part, but she did figure out that it was going to explode. All right, so props to her for that. And Yuma, in an attempt to help her without making her realize that it was him that helped her, uses chains to kind of swing it into the water so that it explodes there and no people are actually killed by it. Right? And at first, people are grateful for that. They're thanking Osamu for helping them out. He directs them to Kitora, saying she was the one that destroyed the neighbor, and they start thanking her. However, eventually people show up who are actually angry because their homes were destroyed and their places of work were destroyed as well. So now they essentially have nothing. Okay, which is understandable. You know, you made the decision to live in Mikado City only because of the fact that Border said they had everything under control and that these neighbors were limited to appearing in these forbidden zones. But now Border's slipping up, or at least in their eyes, Border is slipping up and allowing these neighbors to escape from these forbidden zones and start appearing in the city instead. All right, because of that, because Border can't do what they said they were going to do, now you lost everything. So it's perfectly understandable for these people to be mad. Um, because of the point of view that the story is told from, we know that Border isn't at fault, and we know that there's nothing they can really do about it. But if you were in the other people's shoes and you were the one that just lost everything, then it's perfectly natural that you would be upset. Okay, so I can't really blame these people for it, of being angry. I does handle it though. At least she attempts to. It wasn't the most sincere apology or anything like that. She just said, go to the shelter for now. You will be recompensated. Like you can tell she's done this a lot of times before. Okay, and that's one of the differences between I and Osamu, because she's used to getting more negative comments than positive comments. And she's probably annoyed by the fact that Osamu, it seems as though Osamu is only in it for the glory. At least that's how it kind of comes off, because in each of the cases that she's seen, he's just being, I don't even know what word to use. Well, I guess just like he's just being praised. That's the best way to put it. He's just being praised, all right? Inundated with praise. Not the best word to use, but whatever. Not a big deal. All right. And in her mind, she probably doesn't. In her mind, he doesn't truly understand everything that goes into being a border agent. He acts like he's a real border agent, that he's taking on neighbors and stuff like that. That's how it comes off. But in reality, he knows nothing about what it really means to be a border agent. So it kind of just ticks her off that he's trying to act like one and get all this glory for being one, when in reality, he's not a full-fledged border member at all, and he doesn't even know what being a border agent entails. Right? So that's probably one of the reasons why she just doesn't like him. But that might just be me looking too much into it. She ended up giving him some props in her report, so she did end up acknowledging the fact that he was helpful in helping the people out. Um, and that was actually revealed during the executive. board meeting that we saw after this, we end up getting introduced to Jin. We end up getting introduced to Midorikawa. All right. Um, we get introduced to this not concept, but I guess the branch of Tamakoma. Okay, it's the part that Jin belongs to, and they don't. The people who are a part of Tamakoma don't actually stay at Border HQ because Jin is not often seen at HQ. Um, but we actually see the Tamakoma branch director in this executive board meeting. His name is Takumi Rindo. All right, and he's important. There are really just three people from this meeting you need to remember. All right, Takumi Rindo, Masamune Kido, okay, the HQ commander, and Masafumi Shinoda, all right, HQ director. All right, the other dudes, who cares about them? All right, they're not. Don't worry about them. All right, don't worry about them. All right. Miwa was there too, but we met him in episode 1. All right. Um, but Shinoda, right off the bat, Shinoda's actually defending Osamu because the other two, the PR guy and the R&D guy, right, they're just destroying Osamu. But Shinoda stepped up to defend him, and he actually even recommended promoting him to B rank, which might be going a little too far. Telling the C rankers, you break the rules, you get promoted. But that might be going a little bit too far. But that's what he recommends. Kido ends up asking Osamu, okay, well, let's say you were in a position again where you you could save someone using the trigger. Would you do it again? All right. And Osamu says yes, he would, which is obvious because if you see someone who's about to die right in front of you and you have the opportunity to save them, then you should save them. Screw the rules. If you can save someone's life who's right in front of you, then you should do it. All right. That's pretty much what's going through Osamu's mind. All right. If this dude loves to help people and he's not going to just like turn a blind eye when someone is in dire need of help from a border agent, all right? He's not. No, he just says, "I'd do it again." All right. But the time it took for us to get that answer was just awful. Right? The pacing was so bad. Like it was literally just. I didn't actually count it, but I wish I did because there was like no dialogue for the longest time. Like every character that was in that room, they showed them sitting there for like 5 seconds each with this music playing in the background. That just made it seem even longer. Then they showed Osamu, literally the same exact frame, just like nothing changed. It was literally the exact same frame. He's just staring out into the distance for like another 5 seconds. Then he finally opens his mouth to answer. Just like, dude, Toei, what are you guys doing to the show? Like seriously, Toei, man. Toei is literally ruining World Trigger. Like, oh my god. Anyway, I just had to talk about that pacing because that was just awful. Okay, that was awful. All right. But anyway, after the whole Osamu situation is talked about, they decided to start talking about the abnormal gates that are opening up, and Gene says he'll take care of it. All right. He says he'll take care of it, and that he wants to be the one responsible for Osamu as well because his side effect tells him that Osamu is going to be relevant. All right. Well, what is the side effect? Is it a thing? Is like what? What is he talking about? I know because I read the manga. Right? But if you're an anime only viewer and you don't know, then you're just going to have to wait and find out. You're just going to have to wait and find out. But in the end, Kido ends up agreeing with Gene's request. And the last thing that's worth mentioning is that Miwa questions Osamu about the neighbor from episode 1. Candy asks Osamu, oh, well, were you the one who took it out? After all, it would make sense since your classmates were found there. And he's like, yeah, that was me. Yeah, that was me too. And he's thinking, it's fine, you know, I kind of have to answer this way anyway, right? But then Miwa catches him in a trap because while Osamu's trigger was used at the school, a different trigger was used, a non-border related trigger was used in episode 1, and they have that data. So they caught him in a lie. So now they know, okay, so it was any non-border trigger is a neighbor trigger. So a neighbor took out that soldier. But Osamu lied to cover it up. So clearly, this Osamu kid must know the neighbor who did it. All right. So he ends up asking Kido if he and his squad can go follow Osamu, and when they find the neighbor, Yuma, uh, they ask permission to exterminate him, and Kido grants that permission. So uh, the ending of the episode was interesting. However, a lot of the stuff before that was just mediocre, so I'm just going to give the episode a 6 out of 10. It was okay, you know. Toei screwing things up as usual. But yeah, it's Toei. Episode gets a 6 out of 10, you guys. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.